Happy whatever day it is. Welcome to the Fomo Factory, and let's take a look at Bitcoin and altcoins as the whole market is really bullish right now, but is it maybe time to be a little careful? Let's take a look at that. So if you're new to the channel, welcome, subscribe, like the video if you like the video already, and let's get right into it. So it's hard. It's hard to say something about the market because half of the people says, hey, it's going down, and the other half is euphoric and bullish, and they say, hey, it's only going up from here. And eventually it is about who is right, because yeah, crypto is player versus player, and you want to be at the right side of that trade. So let me give you my thoughts on it, because if you would ask me right now, especially about the altcoin market, like, hey FOMO, are you bullish or are you bearish? I would say I'm cautious. That's somewhere in between. And I'll give you multiple reasons to why I say that, to give you an unbiased view on the market right now. So what we see right now is that Bitcoin is sitting at $36,700 at the moment of recording. Right, Bitcoin is in this major uptrend right here since the beginning of this year. It found support at this level many times. It broke, and once it broke hard, right? It broke and it came down from 30K all the way to 24.5. But then we got the beautiful fake ETF news, and people are not selling off that news really, because now everybody is kind of anticipating that there will be an ETF eventually, so why sell it? And they're right? Eventually, Bitcoin is a major good coin to hold. It's the safest, and it gives you good returns. Like, yeah, you can of course go to the altcoin casino, chase your 100x, but Bitcoin, you know, it might not give you an 100x, not coming cycle at least. But it doesn't mean it can do very well. However, the support level is now resistance. And although we shot up all the way to 36,700 and made a new cycle high again, it is still resistance, and we really have to break this level right here in order to be short-term bullish as well. In the meantime, we might as go down to 35 again. That will still be within the range. However, with this last movement that Bitcoin saw to the upside, we've also seen that the Bitcoin dominance is also moving to the upside. Yeah, and that's where altcoins come into play, right? Everybody wants to know, like, hey, are altcoins a good buy right now? And should we just step in and just YOLO in, have some FOMO and just buy? Now it's all still relative low. It depends a little bit on how you look at it. Let me just tell you what I think and what I'm going to do. So the Bitcoin dominance, for the people that don't know really quick, the Bitcoin dominance shows how much Bitcoin is dominating the crypto space. So if this goes higher, Bitcoin is beating the altcoins. And if this goes lower, altcoins are, you know, outperforming Bitcoin. It's basically what the Bitcoin dominance is. And that also shows, hey, when are we in an alt season, right? We are now in a Bitcoin season, and altcoins get outperformed really hard. And it's for some people, they feel like maybe like, what are you talking about? Altcoins, they just go up 2x. Yeah, and that's true. But you have to realize that if we take it from Bitcoin's bottom, we already went up 2x in April, since April, right? So I just feel like, hey, everybody's now super euphoric on altcoins. Because overall they go up 2x, like some go down, go up way more, and some go up way less. But overall, it's 2x right now. But Bitcoin did that in the first 4 months of this year already. So if anything, altcoins are now just kind of catching up, right? But the question is, can they actually sustain that level, and can they at a certain point outperform Bitcoin, which will result in an altcoin season? Well, an altcoin season is absolutely not what we have right now. An altcoin season was where the dominance here, for example, crashed really hard, or back in 2017 where it crashed really hard. That was a big alt season, right? If anybody tries to tell you right now that we are in an alt season, then I don't think that this 1.9% move by the Bitcoin dominance is really to be called that. But you know, whatever definition you give to it, it's fine, right? But no, not in my book. However, The Bitcoin dominance bounced perfectly off the 0.382 level, and it now looks like it wants to go up further. And yeah, this is of course a very bullish trend. We are above the bull market support band as well, as you can see right here, way above it. We are above this trend line, this a white trend line that we have been in since November. Basically, we have broke this 2 year long yeah, range basically that was resistance, and we tested it here in August as support, and off we went. So there's a lot showing that the dominance is really doing well. Now, I think a lot of people they get this. They know how this works, and they understand in that way, like, hey, it doesn't matter really what altcoins do on the dollar pair, because if you look how it does on its Bitcoin pair, then you actually can modify your risk reward ratio way better. Because if Bitcoin like now is outperforming altcoins, so if Bitcoin is going up harder than altcoins, yeah, then it doesn't really make sense to be in altcoins, because one, they give you less reward, and two, we all know that altcoins are higher risk than Bitcoin, of course. So I think a lot of people get that. And that's the best way to play the market, in my opinion, because I made my profits with Bitcoin already, right? It went up pretty hard. I've been dollar costing into Bitcoin. I made some decent profits on that. And then my strategy later, and I'm not saying you should do the same. I mean, some people just want to buy alts with USD, fine. Let's talk about that as well. But my strategy is to later put that Bitcoin money into altcoins. Well, and therefore the dominance is a good chart. Whenever you feel like, hey, this is going to top out right now, then you can consider converting some Bitcoin into altcoins. I think it could go higher towards 57, 61%. It's a big range. But I think that will happen as soon as we will get the ETF for real. Because the fake ETF news already pumped the Bitcoin dominance way higher, but it's sustained there. So I think a real ETF, like I said before, it's not gonna be a Floki ETF or a Doge ETF or a Cardano ETF, right? It's gonna be a Bitcoin ETF. So the institutions are stepping into Bitcoin, so that's gonna go up way harder, and then eventually the retail, like you and me, will say like, okay, our Bitcoin made profits, now let's convert it into altcoins. But overall, altcoins are bleeding quite hard against Bitcoin. If you look at Ethereum, for example, yeah, it was ranging in this massive distribution phase over here for like 2 years, and it now broke down, and it's already way lower. And if you just take every altcoin, except Ethereum then, but if you take every altcoin and we remove USDT from that chart, and then we look at how that's looking on its Bitcoin pair, then you get this chart right here. Now, this chart shows me when to buy altcoins with Bitcoin, right? I'm not talking about dollars, right? But with Bitcoin. So first about that, what's funny, last cycle, we came down, we bottomed here, we went up, we bottomed again, we had a small bounce right here towards the bull market support band, got rejected, and we broke it. Now what we are doing, we crashed right there, we bounced, we crashed again, we went up until the bull market support band, exactly, by the way. And if we are like keep on repeating what we did over here, then I expect a move like this. And that doesn't mean, again, that doesn't mean that I'm bearish on altcoins. It just means that for me at the moment, it's better to have a good position in Bitcoin, because you can buy altcoins way lower, right? Even though they are not lower necessarily on the dollar pair. But that's because Bitcoin went up. Altcoins are not going up because of the fact that altcoins go up. It's more that, hey, Bitcoin went up, and now finally altcoins are playing some catch up, right? So yeah, if you want to buy altcoins with your Bitcoin, I said, right, that was beautiful timing. Made a video over here like, hey, I'm gonna convert some Bitcoin into altcoins. Made some decent gains on that in this move. It's not a big move. It was kind of a short-term trade. But you can already, if you want, choose to do it here, because, hey, for all I know, maybe this is the bottom, right? But yeah, so far it's not. But what I'm doing with most of my money, I'm waiting until we are here. And hey, if that never comes, doesn't matter. I'm gonna ride my Bitcoin the way up. It's all good, right? So for most of my money, I'll wait until we are here, and that is for altcoins on their Bitcoin pair at least 30 until 40% down. Like I said, it doesn't mean that they go down on the dollar pair. If Bitcoin has a very big run, then this could go down and altcoins could still go up on the dollar pair. But overall, you buy them cheaper if you buy them with Bitcoin. Now, if we take a look at the total three, so this is everything except Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can see that the total three is now sitting at the same resistance level as where we were back in April, or where we were back in February, or last year in October, or last year in September. And this is a chart that I feel like, okay, let's be cautious, right? Let's be cautious. Yes, there is something bullish going on right here, because since the beginning of this year, we've been making high lows. So that's something, you know, I'm not saying like, hey, I want to be bearish on altcoins, so I am looking for the bearish signs. I'm more looking at the chart, like what do I see, and base my bearish or bullishness on that, right? What I now see is, hey, we went here many times before, right? Especially here. I remember last year in August, like especially the run up from June to August, right? That was a mini alt season we had over there. That was where the Bitcoin dominance went down and Bitcoin went up, and altcoins did a 4x on average, give or take. But we still went lower, right? And even here we had a hard run up, we still went lower. And here we had a quite of a run up, but we still went lower. Now we have such a run up again. Like, yeah, I'm not ruling out that we can also go lower this time. Like, so far, that's everything that ever happened, right? So who am I to say like, well, yeah, no, I don't know, insert reason, and this time is going to be different, and now we should go all in at the top. I'm personally not buying right now. But for me, it's pretty easy because I have a good cash position, but I also have a good crypto position. I have quite some Bitcoin, I have quite some Launchpad tokens, and I have a small bag of some altcoins I was trading. So, but that's not really that huge or anything. But for me, it makes me very comfortable. Therefore, I'm always pretty comfortable about the market and not making these urgent or panic or watch out kind of videos, right? Like, if it goes down, I'm good. And if it goes up, I'm good. I, of course, would rather see it go down because yeah, you can buy lower and you make more money in the bull market, right? But if it now goes up, I'm also fine. And I think it's important that you place yourself in the same position, because it's never smart to be all in or all out of the market. Right here as well, like we were breaking stuff here, mainly we were breaking stuff and everybody was bullish, and oh man, so many people were buying here. And I remember Twitter and YouTube back here, everybody was like, oh, alt season and bull market, this and that, and it resulted in a move of 36% down. And this includes stables, right? Altcoins went actually down way harder because that stable coin, these stable coins didn't went down, of course. And therefore I'm so cautious, right? Like I don't want to spend all my money at the top of a range. If it turns out that we could have got like way lower entries, because that eventually determines on how much money you are going to make in the bull market. So short term, cautious. Midterm, I'm bullish. And well, midterm, I'm bullish. Yeah, I'm quite bullish. And long term, I'm heavily motherfucking bullish. Like on altcoins, on Bitcoin, on everything. Right? Like we all know like that crypto is huge and it's an insane innovation. Like man, Nakamoto should get an Oscar. And there are so many good altcoins out there. And I would like to switch up my content a little bit, where I am talking more about specific altcoins, because whether it now goes up or down, overall it is a great place, in my opinion, to dollar cost. If you look at a chart like this, right, to just put it a little bit in perspective, it is an accumulation phase. If you want to buy it with your dollars, with your stables, it's an accumulation phase. Could we drop 30%? Yeah, but you know, what's 100% up and 40% down in a market where in the bull market everything goes up like 2000%, right? So overall, this is an accumulation phase. Don't get me wrong. However, So what I've been talking about a lot is that altcoins on their Bitcoin pair are just like not doing so well. If you, for example, look at DOT, right? There are people, investors, but influencers that talk a long time about DOT, for example, right? And this is just one, but they talk a long time about it, like, hey, this is such a good investment, and buy, it's low, and this and that. But you can scream that forever, right? And like a couple of weeks later, it's lower again, and then they will say, yeah, but I'm just dollar costing, and I feel like, oh, but I said this before, and I think this is super important to know that there's an accumulation phase, there's an uptrend, a distribution phase, and a downtrend, and then the accumulation phase starts again, right? Now, accumulation phase is not called an accumulation phase for no reason, because that's where you accumulate, right? Now, a lot of altcoins, especially on the Bitcoin pair, they look like this. Yeah, this is not an accumulation phase to me, right? Like we had a very hard downtrend over here, but we still have a downtrend over here. I mean, in this case, DOT just made a lower low 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, right? And everybody that says like, oh yeah, buy the dip and buy the dip and buy the dip and buy the dip, they eventually. I'm not saying that dollar costing is bad, but you're missing out so hard. Well, if you were just in Bitcoin, you would have made profits, and yeah, you can now buy it pretty much at the bottom. So that's mainly my strategy. A lot of altcoins are sitting near the bottom on their Bitcoin pair, near the bottom, right? Some are way higher, of course, there are outperformers. Some are sitting way lower. If you look at Cardano, like, yeah, this is sitting pretty close to the bottom, right? Arweave is, although it's up from 13,000 sats to 20,000, yeah, if you realize that it came from 160,000, it's quite close to the bottom, right? Avalanche quite close to the bottom. Dogecoin quite close to the bottom. Well, like I showed you, DOT, Ethereum is just making new lows basically. Gala is sitting quite close to the bottom. So in case you have Bitcoin, you should never have to worry like, oh, I missed out. Like you didn't, right? And also when it comes to altcoins on the dollar pair, right? Let me show you something interesting. So if you take a look at the same watch list, but then on the dollar pair, right, you could say like, oh, I don't know what happened to this line right here. Yeah, okay. So you could say like, oh man, AVAX, for example. I love the project and I want to have a good bag in the bull market. And now it is up with 58% from the bottom, right? And a lot of people I noticed, they seem to worry that they have missed that bottom right now. But look back, right? Were you mad about the fact that you missed this bottom right here? Like there, AVAX didn't pump 58%, but it pumped 113%, right? Or the one before that, where it pumped 123%. But still, buying the top was ridiculous anyway, right? So I would recommend it though. But even buying the bottom resulted in lower prices, right? It's still a downtrend. And a lot of coins look like that. My favorite coin, my top holding is CeDeFi. And I'm not planning to sell it anyway. But even if I would, like, hey, CeDeFi is looking good, right? It's 131 right now, goddamn, by the way. And it is up 150% from the bottom. Like, wow. But then if I just look at the chart purely from a TA perspective, I still feel like, yeah, but so far it's still a lower high and this was a lower low. So high, lower high, lower high, low, lower low, lower low. So the downtrend, although we have these big bounces over here, the downtrend is still intact. So what's the reason to believe that it can't go down lower? Like it did it last time and the time before that and the time before that, right? It's constantly doing that. So I rather, if you really want to start accumulate, if I want to start accumulating heavily, I at least wait for the downtrend to be confirmed to be over. Will you miss out in that case on the bottom? Yeah, you probably will. But who cares? Right? You should not try to time the bottom anyway. Like I just showed you, if you try to do that, you bought here, you bought here, you bought here. yeah, it was all like a waste of money. The people that were just holding off had a better entry, right? And it now feels very bad, for sure. It feels very bad, right? But it felt bad over here as well, and patience got rewarded, right? So what I'm gonna do is, I like I said, I have most in Bitcoin anyway, so I'm just buying with my Bitcoin. And yeah, if I look at see the file on its Bitcoin pair, for example, also looking quite good, definitely. But if you put it in perspective, right? If you put it like this, okay, we did not get this, right? If you didn't buy it. But goddamn, look where it came from. You can still buy it freaking low. Like, it's a little bit a matter of perspective and what time frame you are interested in, right? If you are trading it on a shorter time frame, then this my strategy is nothing for you, of course. If you are like an investor in the bear markets to make a fuck ton of money in the bull markets, yeah, then it is very interesting, right? Because you can first ride your Bitcoin wave and then ride the altcoin wave. Like I showed before, this is a beautiful chart to look at when you look at it like this. So this is Bitcoin. Let's put it on a monthly. In the last cycle, look what Bitcoin did, right? Bitcoin went from 3K to 69. Right now, let's overlay, well, DOT, for example, again, right? DOT right here. This chart doesn't take it back any further. But what you notice is that DOT really started to rip like right here in November 2020 or so, right? It was sitting at $5 and here it did another 10x, right? But from the moment it sat there, right, that was where Bitcoin was sitting at $25,000, give or take, coming from 3. So you could have pulled off a 8x or so with Bitcoin, then convert it into your altcoins, and then ride your altcoin wave. And I think that most people are too focused on altcoins too soon in the market. Not saying that's like not a good strategy, but I think there is a safer way to get more out of it. Because if you applied this, yeah, half of the cycle you were in Bitcoin, like nothing safer than that. And then you can convert it to altcoins whenever it looks like altcoins have bottomed against Bitcoin to ride some kind of a secondary bull market, right? Because we only get one bull market, but there are multiple assets in multiple periods that run. And you can go put it all into altcoins very soon and watch them go down or watch them die, and the one that survives, you can watch them go up. But you can also choose to to apply this and shuffle your money a little bit. So you first ride a bull market, take your profits, put it somewhere else, and then ride that bull market. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. The chart of the others, this is an interesting chart. This is really interesting. This is also looking quite good though. But this is the others chart. And what is this? Well, this is basically the top 125 excluding the top 10. Okay, so outside of the top 125, TradingView doesn't trace that. They don't give a fuck about that, and that's like there's no money in there really if you compare it to the top 100. So this is the top 125 except the top 10. So no USDT, no USDC, no Bitcoin, no Ethereum, no Cardano, no Dogecoin, no Solana, no like none of these big things, right? So this is a more realistic view in the altcoin market, really. Now this chart is very bullish. Definitely, this is a bullish chart. I'm not gonna lie. Therefore, I said like, hey, altcoins overall, 120% since the bottom. Definitely not bad. Definitely not bad. But then again, take a look at where it can go, right? Did you maybe miss out on the exact bottom? Yeah, if you were lucky enough to time it, then congratulations. But did you miss out like basically everybody because nobody can time the bottom? Well, yeah, look what's ahead of you, right? And this is just a previous all-time high. I think the altcoin market will go way higher in the next bull run as altcoins are just having way better quality. Institutions now going to step in, more people joining the market. It's just like it's only going up eventually, right? So if you then look at where we are, yeah, right. This is a whole range right here. Look, if I delete this mid-range, the range is from here to here. And that's a big range if you are in the middle of it, right? But if you look at last cycle, we were in the same kind of range. And that range was also from the bottom to the top was 300%. So we 4x'd, came down halfway, did another 2x, came all the way down from that 4x, and then started the bull market. Right, so in the middle of it, yeah, people here were screaming Altseason, bull market, this and that, and oh my god, it's gonna be fantastic. And it was still a part of the range, and we just went to the mid-range and the lower range first before we finally broke out of it. So I am now looking at like, yeah, isn't this just part of the range? And isn't it possible that we will do something like that maybe again? Could happen. But this is pure euphoria. And this is pure panic. While in hindsight, if you look at the last cycle I just showed, it doesn't really matter, right? If you even dollar cost this whole range, you'll be fine. But with a 2x difference, I now feel a little uncomfortable buying altcoins at these prices. Hey, and then there's always the scenario where this doesn't happen, right? But where this happens. Like, I'm not expecting it, but the possibility is there. And I'm afraid a lot of people are actually expecting that right now. So let's take in consideration that that could happen. Yeah, then what I'm gonna do is, it's not always like this, right? It's not always like that. I don't know what happened last cycle right there. Let's take a look right here. Look, if you put it on the daily, you can see even better. Here we go. Look, we have this range. It wasn't drawn perfectly, by the way. You can better draw it like this, maybe this peak right here. But eventually, eventually we broke out. But what did we do? We do retest it. So you have a confirmation that we are clearly above the range, but then you retest it. Now, what's the benefit of buying the retest? Well, if people bought it here, they wrote it down hard, right? And every cent that you allocate here is something that you cannot allocate here or here, right? So it's not about having these short-term losses. If you can stomach that, then that's no problem. But it's about, if you spend $1,000 right there, yeah, that's too bad, because that $1,000 you could have put it right here, and that's automatically $4,000 when you get back, right? So you better buy the retest with the confirmation that we are actually in a bullish trend than buying the same level as resistance, right? So therefore, I'm never like stressed like, oh, and again, I do have my Bitcoin and I can now buy the lows basically. But if I want to buy with my dollars, I will never have the stress like, oh yeah, what if I'm going to miss out? Yeah, then I'm going to just buy the retest and I buy the same levels as everybody bought at resistance basically. And like, apart from what I just shown, what the benefit is, another benefit is that this is closer to the bull market. And there, the projects that you buy into have a way lower chance to die than over here. Over here, a lot of projects died still and gave up. Believe me, these project owners as well, they thought it was a bull market, and then they see this and this. Well, you bet that a lot of projects gave up right there. Right? So you also take a risk of buying into a project that won't survive in the first place. If you buy it right here, then the chance is way higher that that project survives. So I don't know actually what the topic of this video is, but I think it's how to keep your FOMO intact, like how to not be emotional about the market, and how you can apply multiple strategies so you will never have to worry about missing out on anything, basically. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. In the couple of next videos, I do want to talk about specific altcoins, because there are definitely altcoins that I have on my radar. And I've showed you a couple of times already, but for example, CDFI is one of them. No matter what the price chart does, this thing is printing me money anyway. So this is my, like, I can live from only what I did with CDFI. So that's perfect, right? But there are multiple of these projects. There are projects that you like, it's more than just price movement that can make you money. So let's talk about that. I think it's very interesting. If you do want to buy any of these altcoins, I have an affiliate link for Bybit down below. You can get it there with some discount on your trading fees. I know every YouTuber is shilling you that, so let's join the club. And if not, then not. I don't give a fuck, basically. it's that you make the right decisions, and it's about you doing well in this bull market. And hey, if we can do that together, yeah, happy to do so. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and soon in the bull market we are going to celebrate, because we're all gonna make it. All right, guys, see you soon. Bye.